So here's an update on how you know everything they're telling you about Tyler Robinson is a lie and fake. That he is a groyper, that's actually true. That he is a follower of Nick Fuentes. He's on Nick Fuentes' branch of the Trump Putin terrorist network, attacking Charlie Kirk on the Charlie Kirk branch of the Charlie Kirk Trump Putin terrorist network. But I've been making a lot of videos about all the evidence. All the evidence to me points to him being a groyper. And I can explain all of that as I have in other videos. But there's new evidence now which still points to him being a groyper if you understand it in terms of they put this evidence out there to support their narrative, but their evidence is fake. And this is the text messages supposedly between Tyler Robinson and his roommate. Now, these could be faked by the authorities who leaked them or who released them, because again, it's the authorities' agenda of transphobia and fascism that they're trying to put out there, that they're trying to promote. And again, I deal with that in so many different layers, but right now I just want to focus on the supposed text messages. And the reason I call them supposed text messages is because they seem totally fake. And I'm not saying that because I don't want to believe in them. I'll come back to that. They don't seem like people in a relationship, except for the inclusion of the words "my love" every now and then, kind of awkwardly, not very believably, and then it's like, "My love, what am I going to do about my granddad's rifle?" It seems almost like an AI was involved in writing these, in fact. It also seems like very typical of other KGB misinformation campaigns where there's just too much information in certain subjects. Again, that's why it reminds you of AI. There's too much information about too much concern about his granddad's rifle for some reason. That somebody with the wrong set of priorities is writing this. And I don't mean Tyler Robinson. I mean, they're writing it to be the script that conveniently explains and touches upon all these different aspects of the case, touches upon, you remember when I was inscribing bullets the other day, just all this stuff that's so unplausible, like unbelievable as a thing that someone would type in a text message to someone. Um, the idea that, I'd look underneath my keyboard and find the note that I wrote, and then, oh, this surprise means I didn't know you were doing this, that this wasn't a plan we had. And like, it establishes everyone's role in this script, including the FBI's. Like, there's even a shout out to the FBI, like, oh, the FBI put this information out there that got my dad texting to look for the gun. Like, really? We're really supposed to believe that happened? So Adam Mockler believed it. That's how I got to hear the text exchanges, because Adam Mockler did a whole video about how this proves he's not a groyper, and the hundreds of people who have left his channel because he was, gonna be on the hill of Tyler Robinson not being a groyper. You know, he thinks he's got this conclusive evidence, and then he claims to have studied groypers for years, and he's the same age as me, 22 or something. And so you've been studying groypers for as many years as he's been a groyper, and yet at the same time you claim that in 2017 the Slav stance couldn't have made him a groyper because groypers didn't exist back then. I mean, maybe the term wasn't invented yet, but yeah, they sure did. They've been trolling me for longer than that. So Adam Mockler, I've always suspected, is like one of the more left-leaning Putin puppets out there to protect Putin, because he claims himself that his big argument with his audience is that he believes Trump is just stupid, and a lot of his audience think for some crazy reason that Trump is being controlled by Putin. So of course he's protecting Putin's role in things by arguing against that. And so I see Adam Mockler presenting this is conclusive evidence. He starts off his video by saying, days ago I said let's not jump to any conclusions. I'm sure he jumped to some conclusion in the days in between, but he said, days ago I said let's not jump to any conclusions. But now we conclude, now that we have this obviously really fake sounding text exchange between Tyler and his roommate. And none of it's believable. But some of the least believable is the "my love" stuff. It reads like if Kash Patel was writing it and wanted to, do a little gay romance fanfic, or whatever, trans romance fanfic, that this is what it would sound like. And the problem with that is you really make it romantic, and making it romantic kind of puts it on a Luigi level. I don't think this was anything. I think this is a right-wing hit job on another right-wing. This is fascism against fascism. This is also possibly a cover-up for Trump or Israel. Still, it's still probably, possibly that. But on face value, if it's just Tyler Robinson, well, his roommate's not trans. They're not in a relationship. All that's concocted by the right in order to justify transphobia and targeting trans people. And Adam Mockler's helping by saying, well, now we know he's trans, but the liberals still don't have to own it because there was a right-wing shooting in Colorado at the exact same time. And there was, and they coordinate these things, just like they coordinated with, this is the same day that Putin attacked Poland and Trump attacked Chicago, the largest Polish American city. Like, these aren't coincidences. These are planned attacks for weeks, and they planned to blame Sky Valadez first for a few hours. The 4chan trolls and a whole lot of channels and platforms and journalists put out this idea that it was Sky Valadez because that was a trans person they wanted to target and demonize. And then as soon as Tyler Robinson confessed, some people were suggesting that Tyler Robinson was Sky Valadez. When his drag persona was Sky Valadez. And then they moved on to his roommate was trans. But they had to work a trans person in there. So their agenda is to somehow blame a trans person, and they're willing to lie. The current state of affairs is they're blaming the transness of his roommate, supposedly, which I just don't believe. And then back to the My Loves. If Kash Patel scripted this, or Kash Patel used AI to script this, then it makes sense. If they really did write this and there's this My Love stuff in there, then it's kind of romantic, and you're kind of going to generate sympathy for their story, like the type of sympathy that they'll make a movie based on it, And you've kind of shot yourselves in the foot by trying to pin this trans romance on them when that probably isn't even real, but the fanfic that you came up with actually kind of has a powerful story. It kind of actually changes people's reception of this news. And I don't think you realize that. I don't think you see that side of it because you don't have hearts, or love or empathy or things like that. But when it's romantic, when it's like, oh, you must defend your love against the guy who's threatening to kill your lovers and oppress you for your love and everything else, then it becomes romantic. Sorry, but that's the spin you're trying so desperately to put on it that even the spin you're putting on it will backfire. But I don't think that's true. I think he's black pill, Groyper, all the things that the people who have paid attention to these things, including myself, intuitively thought initially, that fit the profile, that these people are always terrorists and stuff. This is one branch of Trump and Putin's terrorist network attacking another branch of Trump and Putin's terrorist network. And they're doing it to start, to trigger a civil war, to start, retaliatory attacks or whatever. They're doing it for all these reasons that enable Trump to declare martial law or start Civil War II and distract from Putin's World War III and all this different stuff. And when it boils down to Inside Edition trying to say that his friends telling him, you better not go to McDonald's, like his friends were all joking with him about it, like they totally expected it, or they're all groypers too. And so those text messages, I believe, because they sound realistic. You better not go to McDonald's. But then Inside Edition had a reporter standing outside of McDonald's saying, these are similarities with Luigi, as if it's like a network or there's some type of planning or something. No, it's people making a reference to Luigi that everybody knows, not just terrorists, not just groypers. Everybody knows those references. And etching things into the bullets is something Luigi did. I don't remember other people doing that before him. So they're referencing Luigi, but there's no connection. And then they're trying to suggest that that means he wanted the fame of Luigi, and that's the motive. No, Nick Fuentes is the motivation for doing this. It's not an accident. It's not happenstance that Nick Fuentes is having to lie and be all kumbaya and say, I never did this stuff. I disavow anyone who does violence. All this stuff. He wasn't disavowing violence before this. There's a reason why he's the one whose name comes up, where he's like, oh, they're framing me. Well, yeah, of course, guilty people say they're being framed. But, it's like Adam Mockler was saying Bella Ciao either referred to the anti-fascist song, which proves he's an anti-fascist, or it refers to Bella Ciao on a list, a Spotify list for the far right, of which there are only 4 subscribers. Well, if there's only 4 subscribers, you could tell us who those subscribers are, and if one of them Tyler Robinson. On top of that, Adam Mockler acts like those are 2 different things. No, it's the same song. It's just also on their Spotify list. Like, he's that not really perceptive or seeing the nuance of stuff. See my videos for how, of course, he would use Bella Ciao and the anti-fascist thing from the fascist thing from the tongue-in-cheek anti-fascist video game. That all that makes sense for someone who calls Antifa fascists and who calls Charlie Kirk a fascist, meaning the people who are even more fascist, even more far right than Charlie Kirk, the Groypers. Like I said, I've dealt with these people for years. The Slav stance is not just a Slav stance. You know, it's the Pepe image. It's indicating that he's a Groyper even before that term existed, maybe in 2017. But it means he's been a Groyper for 7 years, like since he was a 14, 13, 15-year-old kid. Just like the one they radicalized in Colorado, which Adam Mockler at least mentions. But he's like, at least we've got that. We don't have to own this guy if we're accepting that he was in a relationship with a trans girl. No. Like, that's not how it works, Adam Mockler. You don't get to conclude things because they've released a really shady and suspicious text transcript that's not screenshots, that's not, it's just text. It's like, it looks so KGB to me. But of course, Adam Mockler will never see that side of it because he's protecting the KGB. So anyway, that's how I came across this news, and him saying that Bella Ciao is more likely a reference to the song, which means he's Antifa. No, it means that they misunderstand what fascism is, or they misuse fascism, and then they therefore misuse Antifa things. The fact that Bella Ciao is on Groyper's playlists, which I found out just trying to look up whether Nick Fuentes had ever referenced the song, because I think that would be pretty good evidence of why he would use that reference. And it is, it's on their playlist. It's their kind of thing. To play a video game that's anti-fascist because it's satirically fascist is something that fascists would do, because they get to live out their being a fascist in a way that people are supposed to make fun of them. Kind of like people who like Archie Bunker from All in the Family. They don't get the joke that the joke is supposed to be on them, or they get to live it out anyway. Same with the ooh woo stuff. And why would he have spelled ooh woo differently on the bullet than in the text messages? On top of that, it's what these trans hunting Nazis do. It's how they use that. Same with, if you're reading this, you're gay. And he said, oh, if Fox reads ooh woo out, I'm going to have a stroke. Like, you're supposed to be joking about that while you're really worried about your grandpa's rifle? The other thing is the disproportionate concern for his grandpa's rifle instead of, I don't know, anything else that someone would be concerned about in that situation. All the descriptions, again, it just reads like AI was trying to tie up all the loose ends and make the FBI look good, and this is what they would write. So for Adam Mockler to buy it and spoon feed it back out and say, oh, now we can jump to conclusions, is ridiculous, but also shows Putin's agenda, because Adam Mockler's going to show you Putin's agenda. So keep that in mind with these leftists who are edging leftists, but not giving you the satisfaction of what you know is behind it, Putin, Trump. And let's call these people out before they hurt even more people. In the name of Charlie Kirk, they're Antichrist. And Putin and Trump, they're Antichrists. So anyway, thanks. And just don't believe any of this stuff. We're also going to replace their churches with a Church of Judas. Check out the hashtag Church of Judas. It replaces this Mormon terrorism, Mormon extremism, Mormonic extremism, Mormonic terrorism too. Thanks.